So here is how I plan on making money with my drug testing website. I am going to focus on targeting certain audiences that I know would be interested in it. That's going to be the first thing. But just for you that are new to the channel, hey, this is Monica, and we are recession proofing our business here at Notary Nerds. So this website is going to be one of many ways that we do that going into 2023. And so what I wanted to do and what I always do is I am a numbers person. So I put together this calculator so that I could kind of figure out and plan my attack, meaning that, okay, I know that I'm going to need a database with anything. If you're trying to build a business and you're wondering, okay, why is my business not getting off the ground? It's probably because you do not have a database. You have to have a group of people, a list of emails, something that you can go and say, hey, I am doing this. And those people will either know, like, and trust you enough to give you their money, or you will begin to develop a relationship with them so that they can know, like, and trust you enough, and then they will give you their money. There is no other way in order to build a business. That's the only way. So with this, I know that the 4 or 5 target audiences that I have in mind, starting with nurses and EMTs and CNAs and retired veterans, those are the groups that I know may have some interest in starting their own mobile drug testing business or even a brick and mortar. Some of these home health businesses, home health agencies are run by nurses, and this would be a great addition to their already current streams of revenue. So that having been said, now it's just up to me to go lead generate and find a list of my target audience, and that's what you use lead magnets for. And so for those of you guys who are going to be in the mastermind, actually the mini mind, we changed the name from mastermind to mini mind because it's not going to be as intense. But for those of you guys who have purchased this specimen collector turnkey training website, you are automatically going to be included in a mini mind. And what that is every single month we're focusing in on marketing this website to our target audience. Okay, so that's what the mini mind is. And that kicks off in January. So now that we know these audiences, we know we can start with at least the number 100, because in sales, typically 1 out of every 5 things is going to happen. But let's start at the top. Okay, up here, what I've done is I've taken, now I have secured a domain. I have secured a domain, Specimen Collection University. Notary Nerds University worked out well for me 2 years ago. So this January, I want to launch another university. So I went ahead and secured my domain. You will need to purchase your own domain, okay? So figure out a domain that works for you and then go ahead and go for it. My initial cost of my domain was $11.99, and the design cost of my website is $1,750. Now, that is the time and effort that it took me to build it. It's actually been 60 days so far, and I've got another 30 days of development. So my cost is probably a little bit more than that. But the manufacturer suggested retail price is going to be $1,750 for all intents and purposes. Okay, so then I go on to calculate the total investment, which includes the design cost and the domain cost. But the beautiful thing about this website is that it will not have any monthly cost. Here it is right here. There will be no monthly cost associated with this website because it is a Google site, and Google does not charge monthly fees. So that's another beautiful thing. While we get this business built, I'm going to be able to avoid having to pay that monthly cost that I normally am accustomed to paying for other websites. Okay, now I need to know what the numbers can be, and I like to be super conservative when I do this, meaning that in sales, typically 1 out of every 5 things will happen. So if you look over here to the far right, that's what we call a 20% conversion. 1 out of every 5 things is going to happen. So that's 20%. Well, I'm being ultra conservative. I put that out there just so I could see the numbers. However, I'm not going to pay too much attention to that because this is not yet a proven website. I still have to get out there and market it and, get myself, enough customers so that I can actually see what my conversion rate is going to be. So I'm going to make sure I'm conservative. Now, I've been in sales long enough to know that if you do it enough times, something will happen. We just don't know how many times we need to do something before we get somebody to purchase a website. Now, with this in mind, I'm going to use the 1%, 2%, and 3% conversion ratios. those are very much lower than the 1 out of every 5, okay? Because I want to be super, super conservative. So if I have a database of 100 people and I only convert 1%, that means that I'm going to generate $100 in revenue for people who sign up for the monthly payment, right? And let's talk about that for just a second. This website is going to offer 2 payment options. Let me go over to pricing. The total cost is $997, or they can opt to pay $100 a month, and then they get all of these trainings. They get every one of the possible specimen collection trainings that you would need in order to perform DOT drug tests, and that's unique to this training program. Most training programs are only going to focus on the urine specimen collection, and then everything else is separate, right? It's like an a la carte type of a situation. But because we are targeting people who are already in the space, your nurses, your home-based healthcare agencies, your EMTs, people who may be interested in starting their own business, this is right up their alley, and we want to empower them with all of the things. We don't want to just give them just urine specimen collection, right? And the reason that they can get qualified in all of those areas, number one, is because the Department of Transportation says so. According to the Department of Transportation, the qualification training required for these different things, okay, are all can be done by anybody. Let me say that. The qualification training can be provided, let me say this, by anyone. It doesn't even have to be a human. It says so on the DOT's own website. Why is this? Why would the DOT say, hey, anybody can provide this training? Well, the reason they say that is because the training curriculum must line up with 49 CFR 40, okay? That's the catch. It has to line up with 49 CFR 40, right? And since that's the case, it's easy for anyone to create the training because you don't get to add your own stuff. You have to utilize that title in that chapter in order to be considered compliant, right? So I'm going to show you so that you can see it with your own eyes how the Department of Transportation words this particular part of their policy. So let me enlarge it just so you can see it. Now I have in front of you the How Can I Become a Collector for DOT Drug Testing pamphlet. And you can find that at transportation.gov. If you do a Google search, you'll find it. Now, it says here, what should be the content of the qualification training program and who may conduct it? It says, while the department has not published a curriculum for urine collection training, the DOT expects trainers to base their curriculum on both DOT regulations and the latest version of DOT's publication, Urine Specimen Guidelines. Okay, so they're telling you right now that the curriculum must be based on those guidelines and the following. The qualification training must provide knowledge about Part 40 collection procedures, all the steps necessary to conduct a proper collection, how to fill out a federal collection form, the CCF, custody and control form, how to handle problem collections, information about fatal and correctable flaws, and the collector's responsibility for maintaining the integrity and credibility of the collection process, privacy, and specimen security. So those are the things that the qualification training must include in order to be considered compliant with the Department of Transportation. Now, here's the important piece right here. Read this carefully. Anyone can provide the qualification training described above. Period. The trainer does not need to be an experienced or qualified collector or the same person who oversees the proficiency demonstration or be a person at all. Full stop. The course material may be taught in person, conducted by video, by computer programs, via the internet, by video conference, or by other equivalent means. Okay, so there you have it directly from the Department of Transportation's website, their stance on who can provide this type of qualification training. Okay, and so now that we've gotten that out of the way, this website now poses as a real opportunity for you if, in fact, you can get out there and market it. But I'm going to be supporting those of you guys who do get the website because we're going to have that mini mind where we meet, focus completely on marketing every single month, right? So you're going to get everything that I get, whatever I create, be it an automated or an animated video, lead magnets, whatever I come up with to boost my site, I'm sharing it with everybody who is in my mini mind. Okay, so that you get exactly what I get. Now, my plan, like I said, is to go after nurses. I think I'll probably start with nurses and do some lead magnets to them and get my list up to 100, right? And so everybody in my mini mind will be doing the same thing, right? Ultimately, though, I don't want just 100 on my list because I want to make more money. So with 100 people on my list, I stand the chance of getting one person to convert and paying $100 per month, right? Until they get done with the program, which is going to be about 12 months. I need to make that clear. You don't get and here's the other thing. It could take you 2 weeks or it could take you 12 months to go through the program. The time is totally up to you. However, with this site, we are the only training program that includes a small business website to help you launch your drug testing business. So the people that come to my training, to your training, whoever has this website, they're already entrepreneurially minded. So they're already looking to start a business. This is not just become a collector, right? This is more than that. This is how to start a drug testing business. So when they come to this site, that's the frame of mind that they are going to be in. So once they get there, it's my job to provide them with enough assurance that this is a legitimate place for them to be able to invest their money. Now, I need more than just the 100 people. Now, if the person takes, like I said, 12 months or 2 weeks, it doesn't matter because they're not going to get their small business website until they're paid up in full. Okay? Even if they go through and complete all of their modules and everything like that, speaking of modules, just so that you can see how the students will log in, they will come here and they will enter their username after they register, of course, and their password. And from here, they will be able to access their modules. Okay, so I'm logged into the student dashboard and they would start with module 1, and then there's module 2, module 3, module 4, module 5, all the way down to module 18. And that's another thing I want to point out that makes us unique is that we are teaching, our training program is based on the entire 49 CFR 40, right? The Title 49 of the Code of Federal Regulations deals with transportation, and it covers every single aspect of federally regulated drug tests, right? The procedures involved. So this is a all-inclusive. We're not just doing urine specimen collections, folks. This training that you're offering, if you have this website, is covering the entire title, which is why people who come to your site and take your training will be qualified to start their own training program, do urine specimen collection, do breath alcohol technician, screening test technician, and or mock observations. Okay, this is going to cover everything to allow for those who participate to do all of those things, right? And so that's the catch, that you don't get your small business website unless you have paid up in full, and the pricing options are a $9.97 one time or $100 per month. Okay, going back to our calculator. So if I only have 100 people in my database, then, you know, the monthly looks like $100. And then, of course, a one-time person would be $9.97 as far as that one-time payment was concerned at a 1% conversion rate. That's with 1% conversion. Looking at the 2% conversion, if I convert 2% of this database, that means I'm looking at $200 a month until they get done, and they don't get their website until they pay up in full. Or they are going to get or you're going to convert 2% of this 100 and look at getting $1,994. So, these are all rough estimates, but the bottom line you want to keep an eye on is your total investment. That's the whole goal here. If you want to make sure that your return on investment is swift and soon, that's what you kind of want to focus on. Now, with any business, it's going to take about 90 days in order for you to ramp it up, but you just never know, especially with something new, you never know how it will take off. So, but at least give yourself 90 days in order to, 90 days of good marketing. You can't just sit there and get the site and expect that people are going to just automatically find it. You're going to have to be very intentional about locating your target database, right? And you'll have a lot of guidance from me on that, because I want to see you win. I want to see all of us win. At the 3% conversion rate, if I convert 3% of this 100 people in this database, then now I'm looking at $300 if all of those 3 people opt for the monthly payment. And I'm looking at about $2,900 if all of those 3 people opt to pay the one-time fee. So as you can see here, my goal is just to find my first 2 or 3 people. So that's another thing. You don't have to go into this with this perspective of, oh my gosh, I've got to get all these people. No. That's not how it works. When you create a product of value and you're bringing a tremendous amount of value to someone, in this case you are, because you're providing all of the training, everything that they will need, plus you're providing them with a small business website when they get done. It's like the carrot at the end of the stick, right? So now they have something to look forward to. And not only that, none of the other urine specimen collection or drug testing programs is offering a free small business website upon completion of the training. Okay, so that's not being done. So that's going to be a unique selling proposition that's going to make people interested in what you have to offer. So let's just play around with some more numbers, because I don't think 100 is going to be it. I think even if we have to invest in a list, meaning that, there's places where you can go buy a list of nurses, buy a list of, first responders. You can purchase just about any type of list that you want to. And when you're in the online space, your list is like your equipment. Like, you need it in order to make money. Like, you can't live without it. So either you're going to make the list by marketing and using a lead magnet to attract your audience to you, or you're going to go buy a list from like a salesgenie.com, I don't even think, or InfoUSA. Those are just a couple of the websites from back in the day. I don't know if they've still named the same or if they've changed their names. But at any rate, that's how it works, right? That's how business works. You either have to build a list or you have to buy a list. But either way it goes, you need a list. But let's just say I decided to go purchase a list of traveling nurses, right? And so I buy my list, and typically it's $1 per. So that would be an investment of $1,000 that I would have to make on top of my $1,700 for this list, right? But once I buy the list, now I'll be able to send them direct emails to their inbox, right? Assuming that a list allows for me to do that. And then once I do that, then I'll be able to avoid having to use a lead magnet and Facebook ads and all of those things to find people, because I can just work that list down. I prefer the Facebook way. I like to create lead magnets, graphics, with a free download, so that I know that targets my audience, so that I know that this person is actually interested in a real person, and that's, wanting whatever it is I put out there to kind of attract them to my freebie. Okay. So I'm going to focus on building my Facebook ads. But like I said, if you're in the mini mind, you're going to get all of the things. So 1,000 is going to be my goal, right? Personally, you can create your own goal, but 1,000 is going to be my goal. And with that, if I only convert 1% of the people who, like, say, want to pay monthly, then I'm looking at an extra $1,000 a month. By month 2 of them paying, I'm already recouped my investment. Okay, maybe I spent a little bit on Facebook and whatnot, so maybe I haven't recouped the total thing, but I'm pretty darn near to recouping. I've recouped the entirety of the design cost and the domain at that point by month 2, right? So that's something that you want to see, okay, well, how hard is this going to be for me to get my money back? And then from that point, once you've gotten your initial money back, now you're in the money, what they call in the money. You're just seeing nothing but profit. So the goal of any business is if you have an outlay of cash that you have to put out to get the business started, the goal of any business is to get that cash back as quickly as possible. Okay, sometimes it's going to take 90 days. Sometimes it takes a year. So it depends on the business that you're in. Sometimes it takes, a few months. It just depends. There's no exact number, but you as a business owner or a prospective business owner needs to be trying to get your money back sooner rather than later. Okay, that's the goal. So that's my goal, and that's why I'm doing this calculator, because I like to get my money back as soon as possible. So where are we? Okay, so now I see what I need to do. Let's look at if the one-time payment situation. So you guys always need to keep in mind that when you're doing something like this, you need to get out of your own way. What do I mean by that? Don't think in terms of your budget. Your budget is not the same as a traveling nurse who is making $25, $26 an hour and then double time and overtime and all of the things, right? And I'm probably even way off on the hourly. So don't think in terms of, oh my gosh, I could never afford to pay $1,000. Don't do that. Don't put what you can do or what you think people can do when it comes to their money on your plan. What you do is you focus on providing a quality product that meets a need, right? That meets a need and provides amazing value. As long as you provide amazing value and it's a quality product and it does what it says it's supposed to do, then that's all you have to worry about. Let other people determine what they can and cannot afford, okay? So with that in mind, if the 1% rule applies and I convert 1% of this 1,000 piece audience, then that means that I'm going to get $9,970, okay? So if I'm running a campaign in a 30-day time frame and I touch 1,000 people with my message, right? I get them into my funnel. I'm not gonna tell them to buy the website the very first time we talk. No, that's not how it works. How it works is you give them something away for free that they've been thinking about, okay, that they need because you're thinking like them, right? And it ties into what you're ultimately going to offer them, right? So that's all a part of the sales funnel process. Now, getting back to this spreadsheet, that's a 1% conversion rate. What's more likely to happen when you get a good targeted list of people who are actually interested, you're really probably going to convert in the 2 or the 3% range, possibly even 20%. You just never know. I don't like to think like this. I don't want to go up to the 20% until I test it and I start marketing it because it is new. So I'm going to stay in the 1, 2, or 3%. But I like the 1, 2, or 3% because even if I launch it in the first 30 days and I only get 1% of people to do the one-time payment, then I've already recouped my money plus made a profit, okay? Depending on how much I spend on Facebook. And my budget for Facebook in that first month is probably going to be about $500. So even if I spent $500 and then I have this $1,761.99, that's $2,200 all in. And if I only convert 1% of that list, actually, yeah, that $500 that I added for Facebook, that's how I got this 1,000-piece database. Because that $500 I used to market on Facebook, and as a result, I was able to get 1,000 people. Let's just say, this is all an example. I was able to get 1,000 people to download my free item, right? And out of that 1,000 people, now I've converted 1%. You see how conservative we're being? 1% of that 1,000 gets me this. So you guys, this is a great opportunity. I'm super excited about it. If you haven't gotten this website, you definitely need to go ahead and take a look at it. There is a lot more that we have left to do. This is the final 30 days of development. I started developing this 2 months ago, and we are now adding all of the training materials, all of the assessments, all of the final exam, all of that. That's where we are now in the in that aspect of things. And let me see here if we go back to the login, and just to kind of give you an idea of what each what each section will consist of when it comes to content. I don't think I told you guys, but just to be sure, when the student logs into their dashboard and they go to the module, and you'll note here, every module is a subpart of the actual regulation. So, Title 49 CFR 40 has 18 parts. That's letters A through R, and each of them discuss a different aspect of the process. So once they log in and go to the module that they're going to start with, then they will have access to a study guide and video lesson. okay? Study guide and video lesson. So we have audio and visual, and then we have interactive quizzes that will include when we can or when it makes sense, because each module will also have a big quiz. So we don't want to inundate people with quizzes, but in module 1 we have a double quiz because we have a vocabulary quiz and of course the module quiz itself, right? So that's how that will look, and they will be able to expect that same format for each of the 18 lessons. And then once they're done, there'll be a final exam, and that final exam will determine whether or not they are complete or done with the program, right? They'll have to pass it. And although the Department of Transportation does not, you can't get certified to do DOT tests, the companies like yourself, if you own one of these websites, will need to provide the student some type of a certificate of completion. Do not mistake that with a certification. That's not the same. It's just something that shows that this person went through the process and satisfactorily completed all of the training curriculum, which is obviously based on Title 49 CFR 40, right? So I'm super excited about it. These numbers are good enough for me. They make me happy. I feel like I can put a little money behind it without any problem and go ahead and get that conversion to happen. I anticipate my first conversion based on what I have done so far with the site. I feel confident that I can convert in the first 30 days, if not the first week or two. So I'll just kind of be conservative and say 30 days for me. Now for you, it could be that, or maybe it takes you a little longer. It just depends. You will need to spend a little money marketing to either find your list or purchasing a list. So that's something that you want to take into consideration. But here's the thing that I want to make sure is very clear, and then I'm done. Once it's going, it's going. You don't do anything. Okay? It's done. Once it's done, it is done. Okay? So the only thing that you may need to do is to have a support email so that you can ask questions and make sure that your students who are going through your training are able to have an email where they can ask questions, or if you have a professional office telephone number that you want to set up for this, it wouldn't be a bad idea once you start making money to do an Opus virtual office so that you have a reception to answer a phone number. They have them all over the place. Opus is all over the place. If you guys don't know who Opus virtual office is, let me pull them up real quick. And so that when it's time, you can pay $99 a month and be able to, have that be your customer support, right? Because people will have questions. They will have questions and things will happen, and you'll need to be able to have a means for them to be able to reach out to you. And it's only $99 a month, but I wouldn't do that yet. And they give you a telephone number and everything. I wouldn't do that yet until I was making some money. Okay, but I would have that in the works. And then from there, then yes, you will have to respond to those things that come up, right? But by purchasing this site, the beautiful thing about it is you're in the mini mind all year. So whatever's going to be coming up, you're going to be able to, be supported not only by myself, but by the other members of the mini mind. And from there, create your own frequently asked questions thing to keep it basically very simple. Because keep in mind that these other training programs don't have a high-touch customer service situation. You go on their website, you order their thing, and you're gone. There may be some that provide a little bit more service than that, but trust me, for the most part, when I was calling, I got maybe one of them on the phone the first time. And I was able to get two people on the phone. So that's a thing to think about. You definitely want to have the ability for people to call or email at first, and then call once you're able to make money and set that up. Okay, but if you can set it up at the beginning, go ahead and do it. It's always an extra plus. But I'm liking it. I like the numbers. I plan on this being an additional stream of income to recession-proof my business in 2023. I'm super excited about Google Sites altogether, and I'm loving the flexibility that it offers, especially if you're trying to get something off the ground affordably. You don't want to have to pay Kajabi $199 a month, or Wix, or GoDaddy, or whoever, all of this money a month just to host your training material. So hope you guys like this video, and if you're interested in getting one of these sites, they'll be available until the end of the year. After that, we are going to the races. Talk with you soon. Peace.